Why do we have the Proverbs? I think the basic reason is because we need wisdom, right? But actually, there's a very specific person who was in mind when the Proverbs were written. It was Solomon's son, Jeroboam. You can read about him in the Old Testament. Jeroboam was not a good character. But Solomon was trying his best to make sure that Jeroboam turned out wise. And so he wrote down this book. The first part of the whole book from Solomon is him saying, my son, my son, my son, here's what you do, here's what you don't do, here's what's wisdom. And I think we can pull a couple things from that. First of all, we should understand that this is a book for growing up. Knowledge is an easy thing to pass down. You can put it in books. You can just connect it to a computer who will look it up for you. In many ways, the knowledge that we have today is amazing compared to what even our parents or grandparents had. But wisdom's not like that. You don't accumulate wisdom and pass it on to the next generation just by osmosis or by writing it down. It's something that needs to be practiced and reiterated and reinforced and pressed down deep into a person's soul. I think Solomon, being the wisest guy who ever lived, knew that really well. If you look at Solomon's life, his life, even though he was full of wisdom, was full of all sorts of unwise decisions. And so in giving Solomon all the wisdom that he could possibly imagine and more, God also gave him a deep understanding of his lack of wisdom. And so Solomon, I believe, wrote this for his son to help his son realize that even though he may not be as wise as Solomon, he still needs wisdom desperately. If even the wisest guy who ever lived really lacked wisdom sometimes, wisdom is not an easy thing to attain or hold on to. And so this requires deep study. It requires reminding yourself of these truths. In fact, that's why I hope to go only through a short section every day, just to give you one thing to think about, one thing to chew on, one thing to try to make part of your day. So that it's not just a saying that you remember or a mantra that you repeat, but it becomes so much part of your life that you don't even think about it anymore. It's just the way you are. It's just the person you are. It's just the way you operate. I think that will lead to more growth or more growing up in young men than anything else. If you're just told to do something and then you do it, that's being a child. But when something internal, intrinsic, something that you've decided is valuable starts to bubble up out of you, that's being an adult. One man I heard said it like this: you become an adult when you realize that everyone else doesn't know what they're doing either, and that you have to figure it out yourself. Now, I don't totally agree with everything in that statement, but here's the point that I want you to take home. If you're just going to go through life being told what to do and told what to believe and told who to follow, you're not grown up. But when you're willing to actually grab onto something and say, this is going to be my thing, this is going to be who I am, this is how I'm going to live my life, regardless of what anyone says or what anyone else thinks, because I have thought through it and I've come to the conclusion that this is a valuable and right way to live, that's when you become an adult. And so, young men, I hope you grow into these truths and make them your own. Don't just listen to me because I'm on a screen. Don't just listen to me because I have a degree in divinity, which sounds awesome, but basically just means I'm a nerd about the Bible. Take these things and make them your own, because that's what I want for you. It's what Solomon wants for you. It's what God wants from you. If God wanted you to just listen to commands, he would have made you a robot, but he made you a person with a will. And he expects you to use that will to find wisdom and to make it part of your life. So dig in and start thinking about these things in your life. Don't just use the examples that I give you. Think about how it works in your day-to-day life. And then decide who you want to be. I think the Proverbs are a great place to start. So I hope you'll continue to join me. We'll catch you next time.